As you may know, I'm Linda Grimes. I'm the Executive Director of the San Pedro Waterfront Arts District. And I want to welcome all of you here for this event. This is part of a series that we do called Culture Talks, and it's an arts appreciation series, and it's our commitment to community education. And I wrote about this in San Pedro today. If you guys want to have a seat back there. One of the things that we're doing today, in addition to this film, is showing this film with Tim and Justin. After the film, they'll come back and we'll have a little Q&A with them. But we're also trying to raise money for Ken's campaign for honorary mayor. How many people know Ken? Awesome. Where's Kathy? Did she raise her hand?
My wife didn't raise her hand.
So we really appreciate your being here, and and the Shrivers are here, awesome. So you had things that you were going to say, because I just forgot everything I was going to say.
Well, I wrote everything down that you just said. So my name is Ken Crichton. Obviously, I am running for the honorary mayor of San Pedro. What that means that I have chosen two of our most influential nonprofits here in San Pedro, that being Linda and the Arts District, and Mike Coccavella with Meals on Wheels. And it was kind of a natural thing to choose that, because we have one organization that beautifies the town from the outside in with murals and arts education and the First Thursday Art Walk, and then we also have Meals on Wheels that beautifies the town from the inside out. Linda and the Arts District does the First Thursday Art Walk. My wife volunteers for that. It is amazing to walk around town and see these different studios, the murals, and everything that you've done to beautify this city. I have been here 10 years, and finding Linda and the beauty of San Pedro is one of the best things that's happened to me.
I just want to give people something to talk about at my funeral.
Your funeral? I hope that's a long ways away.
I don't know.
And then Meals on Wheels delivers 275 hot and cold meals to our shut-in and our elderly neighbors. It's more important than that. Sometimes the people that deliver these meals are the only outside contact that somebody may have during a day. I am so proud to be a part of this community that I am also Santa Claus in this community. I've been doing that for about, I know it doesn't look like it, but...
Shh, it's a secret.
I've been doing that for about 8 years now. The week of Christmas, I dress up as Santa Claus, and I go along with the drivers from Meals on Wheels, and I deliver to folks as Santa Claus. And it's just special when somebody that's 100 years old looks at you and goes, Santa! But 102. But honestly, meeting Linda and Mike are two of the best, well, besides my wife, two of the best things that have happened here in San Pedro. So I am so honored to be a part of this. There is a merchandise table over there for Holy Frit. There is also a table here, a little shameless plug, for donations to our campaign. Remember, they don't go to me, they go to Arts District and also to Meals on Wheels. So I'm so proud to be a part of this. And I love the Grand Annex. I do the open mic here the second Thursday of every month. I got that phone call about 5 years ago. Would you be interested? And before
you got voluntold.
Liz and Taryn could finish the conversation, I said yes. So I'm so proud to be a part of this place also. And thank you, Liz, for everything that you do for this community. My wife, Vanna White, wants me to show you. So I am also doing home visits for $50 a home visit.
As Santa, not as Ken.
Oops.
Maybe you'd show up as the Easter Bunny. I don't know.
I am also the Easter Bunny here in town, so this will be on the table over here. It's $50. I will come to your house. These donations also go to the Arts District and to Meals on Wheels. So.
And we're also raffling a charcuterie board by Pam Costa. And then after the film, we'll be live auctioning a studio tour of Tim Carey's studio. And now that we're talking about Tim's...
that's a good segue.
I worked on that. I want to introduce our councilman, Tim McCosker.
Thank you, Linda. Tim McCosker, councilman of the 1-5, and I am really, really grateful to the honorary mayor campaign and all of the folks that join in, but thank you, Ken Creighton, for doing this. I actually came today, though, because I heard it was a film about a guy named Tim who got a big commission. He asked for a job that he didn't deserve. I thought it was about me. I thought it was about my campaign for a council member. Turns out, not the case. Yeah. But I am very, very grateful for everything that Linda does for the arts and for the Waterfront Arts District and what you do for us. I love, love, love Meals on Wheels. I appreciate all that you do for our seniors. Ken actually has me come at the holiday times, and I deliver along with them when he's in his Santa suit, because Santa finds me very slimming. And I love this place. Let's hear it for the Grand Annex hosting us here today. So thank you, Ken, wherever you are, for all that you do for our town. I appreciate you. I appreciate you putting yourself out there for honorary mayor. Thank you to all of you who is going to support his campaign, because supporting his campaign supports the arts, supports our seniors. Have a lovely time at this film. I loved meeting Tim, and I look forward to seeing Tim here in town and sort of gracing us with his presence even more after today. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to thank the Annex, because this room is like the best listening room in Pedro. They've really done a lot of work, not only in the artists that they present here, and there's brochures in the back, but when you get here, they treat you like royalty. So we really appreciate that. There's a couple board members here, Christy Wallace, and I think Lucretia Jacobson, who sits on the board of the Grand Vision Foundation. And without further ado, we're going to show the film and stick around afterwards, because the artists will do some conversation. Thank you for being here.
All right.
I've seen this movie before, and I have chills again. So before we bring Tim and Justin up, we're going to auction off a studio tour of Tim's studio for 6 people. And I'm going to leave it to the honorary mayor candidate to do the bee auctioneer.
Before we get to that, anybody watch Saturday Night Live? Do you know what being verklempt means?
Verklempt.
Verklempt?
Yes. Can we have house lights, please?
Bum, 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 bum. So I am verklempt. My life is full of these weird twists and turns and all this other jazz. The last time Kathy and I were at Church of the Resurrection was in January of 2015. My stepdaughter was a cellist for the orchestra at this church. We had been to many services with Pastor Adam. And we are going back there for my stepson's wedding in November. And I know where we're going to be. We're going to be right there. Tim, I want to thank you for everything you did there. When I saw the face of Jesus there, I kind of lost myself for a moment. What you did is amazing. We were at that church at the old sanctuary, and we saw so many things that Pastor Adam did, and for him to commission this and for you to do that is absolutely amazing. And like I said, these things happen to me, and I don't know how they happen, but this happened. My wife and I were married in 2009, probably a mile from this church at a place called St. Michael's. So this was very, very touching to me. And what I would like to do is I'm going to start off this auction of auction going to the studio with 6 people at Tim's auction at $100. Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to bid $100? We have $100 right there, Christy. Do we have 125? We have 125. Lucretia, do we have 150? Anybody 150 back there with Stella? Do I hear 175? Anybody from Susan Tucker, 175. Do I hear $200 to go to this amazing studio to see exactly where this was all created? 200 back there with Stella Bennett. Thank you, Stella. Do I hear 225? 225 to go to this once in a lifetime. Christy, 225. Do I hear 250? 250 right here with Susan Tucker. Do I hear 275? 275 for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. You and 5 of your friends. Chrissy is at 275. Do I hear 300? Do I hear 300? 300 with Lucretia. Do I hear 325 to go to this once-in-a-lifetime event? There's the artist right there. Stella Bennett, back there. We're at 300, right? 325? 325. Do I hear 350? Anybody want to bid 350 for this amazing experience? 350 right there. Do I hear 375? 375 to come to the studio. You're going to meet the artist, the guy that did this amazing stained glass. 500. Oh my God, there's 500 right there. What do you think of that?
I think we should stop. Thank you.
Oh,
Liz, go ahead.
Do I hear 525? 525? 525 with Liz. Do I hear 550?
She said 600.
600. I can't hear. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. 600 right there. Do I hear 625? 625. I still got tears in my eyes. 625 right here. Do I hear 650? 650? 650? Liz, 650 right there. Do I hear, I'm going to go all the way up there. Do I hear 700? 700. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. 700. We have 700 right there. This is amazing. Do I hear 725? Okay, 725. Oh, 725 right there. Okay. Do I go 750? Do I hear 750? You and 5 of your friends have this amazing tour of the studio. 725? Going once? Twice? 725? Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Liz. We really appreciate it, and we thank you for bidding.
All right.
We could offer another tour for your original, what was it that you bid 500? If you'd like, we could do a second tour.
All right. We're going to do another tour for 500.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So Aaliyah will get your information, and in the meantime, I'm going to call Tim and Justin up here.
I didn't embarrass myself, did I? Get the plump?
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. It's on? Is mine on? Oh, yeah. Checkity check.
Let's do a third tour for 300. Just write me a check. Straight to me. No, let's not do that. To you. Yeah. Well, meet me outside if you want a third tour.
So, I'm with Ken. I'm a little verklempt, but so what are you working on now? And how are you feeling about this window?
Well, it's been a little while, as you can tell. You know, I'm a little more wise than I used to be. But you saw some of the stuff I'm doing up there. I mean, the big thing I'm working on, which is kind of wild and amazing, is another window for this church. So that sanctuary, which seats 3,500 people, turns out it's a little too big for weddings. You having a wedding there? Or in Overland Park, at least. But it's too big for weddings and funerals and small events. So they're building a chapel. And at the front of that chapel is another big window with another big Jesus. Not all the other stuff. It's going to be smaller. It's 40 feet wide by 15, 25 feet tall, something like that. It's like about 1/5, 20% of the size of the other window. But we're doing it all with fusing. I'm doing it as my own sole practitioner. I'm using Judson as my facility. So it sort of allows me to come full circle and be kind of running my own show and, getting paid for it this time. But still working with Judson. They have the facility, and so I'm really glad to be doing that. And I'm still doing just my own works. I'm doing commissions, portraits in glass. I mean, I've just totally fallen in love with fusing and coming full circle from where I was as a fine artist and a painter, now feeling like glass is the ultimate painting medium. And so pushing it as far as I can as an artist and teaching, because I think people need to know about it. Artists need to know how to do it. And then Justin and I are working together still. We're still filming because, as you see, it's kind of dramatic, this whole idea of making these things in a burning kiln, these images that come out and the sort of excitement and drama that happens. So he knows how to film it. He's an expert in telling the story. And so we've continued to do it. And we don't know where it's headed, but we're just sort of taking it one day at a time.
So Justin, what's next for you? I really love that you caught a sense of humor in this film. That, you know, it was very, very serious, but you made it so that you brought us all in so we could laugh at the process and understand the process better.
I didn't think this was gonna, I mean, who wants to make a movie about a stained glass window? It seemed like the stupidest thing in the world to do, and I didn't know anything about stained glass. It was pretty, it was fine, but I didn't really care. Tim invited me down, so I moved next door to Tim. That's how I met him. I moved there from Oklahoma, and he found out I was a filmmaker, and they were still pitching. They were still bidding on the job, and he asked me to come down and do a promo to submit with their pitch, and said, you got to make us look cool, man. You got to do something to make us stand out. And so I did that, and as I heard about what the project was, I said, you have to let me film this. This is amazing. He said, oh, no one's going to care about this. I said, no, I don't think you understand. This is amazing. But for me, knowing Tim, I knew that humor would unlock everything. He is just naturally a jackass in the best possible way, and he is so funny. He made me laugh all the time, and I thought this is how that subject matter, this old, archaic subject matter, was going to come to life. People would stop thinking about it being this old fuddy-duddy thing because this dude was doing it, you know. And then, you know, you throw in the fact that he didn't know how he was going to pull it off, and there's this guy named Narcissus out there, and I thought, okay, if this happens, this is going to be great. So I just said, you got to let me start filming, and they did. And so, what was your question? I think I got off.
I think my question was, what's next for you?
Well, we filmed a TV pilot that we're going to start submitting. Tim was invited. Someone saw the movie, and the master builder for Gretsch Guitars, which is a subsidiary of Fender Guitars, wanted to make his very final guitar with Tim Carey in glass. And Tim said they just wanted a glass panel. And Tim said, well, how about we do two? How about we do one glass panel and we do one completely made out of glass? And it was, as much as this was insane, this project was crazy. And so Tim made it with that Stephen, what's his last name? I'm sorry, I'm breaking.
Stephen Stern.
Stephen Stern, and then somebody in New Jersey. And it is a fun, I think Tim makes great stories, makes great television, makes great movies. And so I've been following him. I haven't stopped shooting him. We do education, and I'm filming some other pilots and things like that. But I'm all in on this dude, this Tim Carey guy.
A bromance is born.
Well, I think what Justin is really good at, as you guys saw in the movie, is telling stories and doing things in a way that kind of sort of subversively gets people really connected to the scene without hitting you over the head with the information. You know, we talked about this earlier with our friend Zach over there, how, you know, there's something about being able to sell something, so to speak, without really telling you what's so great about it, but just by unveiling all the things behind it, the truth, the funny, the misery, all of it. And so he's got this ability to kind of sort of turn the screws on the realness of things. So I think there's a lot of potential for that, not only with what we do, but in other types of content creation. So it seems like a good way to move forward.
I realize I'm kind of a geek, and there's a lot of artists in this room, and I find artist process endlessly fascinating, and that you went after it with a sense of humor, and it worked, even though you didn't realize that in the beginning. That was the amazing part. Are there any questions in the room? Alice.
Thank you. The editing process, I think, is what is superb here. I speak from experience. And also the fact that under pressure, you're interviewing these guys who have like 3,000 other things and stresses on their mind, and they're just having this chat with you, which, hats off, my goodness, unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you. It took us a long time to edit this thing. So it took us about 3.5 years to film it, because that was the whole process of making it. And it took me about 3.5 years to edit it. We filmed 1,150 hours of footage to make this 2-hour movie. And I wanted to make an 1.5-hour movie. You're not supposed to make 2-hour documentaries. But we tried to make a shorter version, and it felt like it sort of lost some of its soul. My editor I've worked with for years and years and years on other films, and I think he's a master, and him and I just day and night worked on this thing. I transcribed every single hour of the footage, which is insane, because now we have AI that can do it for you, but then we didn't have that. But what it did is it really got it inside me, right? And yeah, the editing was nuts. It was nuts, but I knew that it was going to be made in the editing room. That's what it has to be.
Well, your hair was red when you started.
That's right. That's right. It's not red anymore. It's a very red beard. It used to be. Yeah. And Tim was he was darker here.
Talking about me.
Yes.
Question.
I have a question.
Joe.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
As my husband said earlier, we're going to be going back to Kansas in November for my son's wedding, so I can't wait to go see this window. But I have a question for Tim, more the mechanics of actually making the window. Given that it's made in individual panels, oftentimes by different artists working with different hands, some might be heavier with the frit, some not. How did you guarantee that once all the pieces were up there, that everything would be of the same, let's say, vividness or opacity, or that some might be more transparent than others? What if somebody just put more of the frit on than the next guy?
Well, I guess maybe this didn't come across in the film, but the truth is that, except for the trees, the trees on the side of the window, I had help. Quentin helped me with those trees. Because those were sort of at their own style, so we felt like, okay, we could get away, if something's a little different here, we could get away with it. The center of the window, the area, the green around the Christ figure where we started, Narcissus did a lot of that himself. We sort of strategically produced the window so that by the time I got good at knowing how to use the frit, Narcissus had already started the process, and since I had learned from him, I picked it up the same way he did it, and he and I did the whole window. So nobody else laid a grain of frit on there besides he and I. Everybody else did cutting and did other things, but when it came to putting the frit on there, it was Narcissus and I, except for those trees, where Quentin did it.
And then I have one more quick question. When we go visit it, is there a diagram somewhere of
Oh, yeah.
who's in
There's
the
a book,
window?
too. There's a book called The Resurrection Window. If you look on Amazon, you can buy it, and it's a nice hardcover, good, like kind of a coffee table book if you want it. It has a lot of cool stuff in there.
Hold on, Steve. Joe, you had a question, and sorry to call you out, these guys are from Beacon House, which is a men's recovery center, which Quentin probably had some experience with.
Yeah, we're from the Beacon House. What's up? So this is like a question for the artist, right? You touched very slightly in the documentary about your own faith and about your connection to the stories that you were portraying on that window and that glass. And I understand that it was a commissioned piece and there's like a money incentive, but how did you bridge that gap between like faith and your artistic vision? Like, did the just knowing that you had to do it like motivate you to make it better and to have a connection to those stories, or did you already have some type of connection to the Bible and those stories, and I don't know, Martin Luther King, who's also in there, and stuff like that? I wanted to know a little bit about your process there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question, and I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I sort of went away from my faith in my teenage years and beyond. And what brought me back to my faith was working in a stained glass studio, because I was reading the Bible every day. And so I'd pick it up and I'd go, okay, I got to read the Beatitudes for this thing. That's pretty interesting. Wow. And it got me sucked back into Scripture, into the Bible, into my faith. And so my work there brought me fully back into being a Christian, which I'm so grateful for. And then this window, being as big as it was and having so much theology in it, I was just lucky because I wasn't being asked to do something that I thought was silly or that I thought was some sort of legend or fake tale. I believe everything in the Bible. So I was doing something that related to my faith. So it was like, wow, what an opportunity. It wasn't like they were asking me to do a big Satan up there and like, glorify some awful thing that I don't believe in. So now what was cool about it was that I had a lot of discussions with Pastor Adam. He's a Methodist. And he has his own way of interpreting Scripture. Sometimes we were aligned, sometimes we weren't. He allowed me to speak into it a little bit, and I'd be like, actually, the Scripture says the wolf shall lie down with the lamb, not the lion. So can we put a wolf in the lamb? He'd go, oh yeah, you're right. Let's do that. So we had those talks, and so it was wonderful. It was like, he really wanted the cross behind Christ to look like it would have really looked with the little foot thing on there. He had studied it, how exactly it happened. So, so many conversations, and I just consider it luck and the grace of God that it worked out that way, that I didn't have to do anything against what I believed in, and that I got to speak into it, and then, I got to do a big Jesus with his arms out, telling people to come to me. Like, that's what we believe as Christians. So it was really, really cool.
Steve. Steve is no stranger to large works of art.
Hello? Oh, yeah, okay. This question is more for Tim. I was curious about, although I think the film was brilliantly edited for sure, but my question was, what visual source did you have for these? Did they give you imagery and we want this, and this saint, or
yeah, good.
How open
really,
was it?
Really good question. Thank God for the internet, right? We have, as you saw in the beginning of the movie, I used a lot of models. So I did a lot of people. I would put them in garments, and we'd go upstairs and shoot pictures of the different scenes and the different things. I used the internet a lot. I used Photoshop. I collaged images together. There's a great website for anybody who does biblical figures called handsomebeardedmen.com. Handsome bearded men. Don't let your wife find that in your search history. But if you want some biblical looking handsome bearded dudes. Anyway, so I just kind of did a lot of collaging, a lot of drawing, some photography. It was a mix of everything.
so you weren't going off of any particular historic images?
No, the image of Christ is probably a combination of 5 different paintings that I had seen.
Greco.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I have a lot of questions, but one is kind of a technical one. Did you painted the black imagery onto the glass, right? And then did it dry? And then you had to do the out of control frit part, right?
Yeah. So if you guys, when we're done, I'll plug that back in. You'll see some pieces up there that are done the exact same way. So the portrait, I'll just do it right now. I'll walk over there. So the portrait of Narcissus at the top is done the exact same way we did the portrait of Christ, which is using paint on a clear layer of glass and then placing colored glass on top. So it's painting below. The paint dries quickly. It's like watercolor, and then you just place colored glass on top. If anybody knows the term grisaille, which is an old master technique of doing a black and white painting and then transparent glazes on top. I mean, there's nothing better to transparent glaze with than colored glass. So it's a black and white painting and then transparent colored glass on top.
And then my other question, thank you for that. I didn't get to look at that till now. What is, do you ever paint in, in oils or acrylics, or do you ever do any painting anymore?
I don't. I mean, once you do this, it's like, why would I go back to that? I mean, I have no offense to people who do oil and acrylic and all that, but I feel like I've stumbled upon something that I could spend the rest of my life doing, and I still wouldn't have enough time because it's so new and it's so challenging. So I've found that now thinking about oil painting and anything that's sort of I'll call it cosmetic for lack of a better term, but paint on something. Glass is painting in something. It's all done within the glass. So I love that. I'm addicted to it. There are plenty of people. Narcissus still loves to paint and do watercolors, and so I just find myself just not enough hours in the day to do what I love, and so not doing as much of the other stuff.
Steve, my brother Steve, had a question.
What type of paint did you use that it didn't burn out when you fired the glass?
It's the same kind of paint stained glass artists have been using for 1,000 years. It's just crushed glass mixed with a flux that makes it lower the melting point, and it just melts to the surface of the glass. So it's called Rouchet. It's the company that makes it. It's a lead-free paint, and it just bonds to the surface of the glass. But because I'm covering it with other colored glass, it sort of protects it from burning out.
When Bullseye got shut down, did you consider Wismach glass?
Well, no, we were already, so far in deep with this thing, we couldn't have switched the glass. That wouldn't have worked.
Even though it was compatible?
Well, I don't think it is. At least not trustworthy enough to do on a window of this scale.
So we have a question here, and then we'll come back to Kathy. Getting your 1,000 steps in.
That's okay.
Hi, I have a question for Justin and Tim. How has this process, of this whole project, how has it affected your mentality and philosophy about art and its process? Not only as the person making the stained glass, this whole entire art piece, but also the person who's filming.
Go ahead. Should I go first? Yes. So the approach that I wanted to take was to, I've seen a lot of documentaries, and I didn't want to ever make a documentary. I love documentaries, but it's not something that I wanted to do. My other films were scripted projects, and I thought, let other people do documentaries. And of course, this guy says, hey, come down and help us do a promo, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna do documentary. And it's gonna totally upend my whole life, and it has. It's changed everything about my life. Everything about my life. And now I love documentaries. I love making them. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to be embedded. I didn't want to do a talking heads documentary where somebody told you about what they did do and we try to do recreations or anything like that. I wanted to experience it with Tim. And how insane is it to watch a person go through 3 years of a complete metamorphosis right in front of your eyes? That you don't get to do that as people very often. And beyond that, he's doing something that is brand new in the world. How often as a filmmaker do you get to be there as the trailblazers are doing something brand new? I mean, all these art forms have been around forever, painting forever. But he's doing something that is only 50 years old, and barely anyone's doing it like he's doing it. So what an opportunity. I thought I would be an idiot if I didn't follow this thing. And now I formed a damn company with this guy now. I don't know how you sucked me into this because I didn't care about glass, but now I love it. It is so incredible what can be done, and we are just scratching the surface. So I guess I would say is I didn't expect this, I didn't want it, but it has changed everything about my life because I got so invested in it, and I just need the world to understand what he does. I want the world to know it, which is why I can't stop filming this dude. He's so compelling to me, and he's so talented. And again, he's such a fun jackass. I just love how he is on screen. He's chaos, and I think it's so fun. So I'm all in. I'm doing other things, but he and I do a lot together, so yeah.
Well, my answer is a short one on that question is that I'm just going to quote what Narcissus said when he said that if you do something that sucks, these people have to live with something that sucks. He said it a little longer than that. But so that my process before that might not have been as serious. I keep things light. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. He forced me to take myself more seriously as an artist and a creator and to put more of myself into everything that I do. And so that changed me in a big way. And I still have him in my head every time I'm doing something, have him saying, are you sure it's done? Did you do enough?
And it kind of helped you change your mentality about the effect of your art as well.
Yeah, well, it is, especially public art like that. It's not for me. It's not for somebody in their living room. This is for a community of people that are counting on it, ministering to them for generations. So, yeah, it's like a big responsibility, and that really made a big difference in my life.
So do we have any other questions? Any other? Kathy.
My question is back more to the mechanics of actually making the glass. Can you fire the same piece of glass more than once? Is it forgiving at all? For example, if you wanted it to be a certain vividness or opaqueness or whatnot, and it doesn't come out that way, can you add more to it and then put it back in, or is it just, that's it?
Yes, you can, and we did that a lot. We tried not to make a habit of it because it's really expensive and time-consuming to fire things multiple times, but yeah, I think a couple of these pieces were fired multiple times. You can add material and put it back in the kiln. The glass does have a life in the sense of, like, they call it a heat life, so it can only take so much heat work being heated and cooled down. So Bullseye, the glass manufacturer, recommends not firing things more than 4 times to maintain compatibility.
So any other questions? Oh, Sue.
Yeah, just a couple of brief ones. How long does it take for it to cool?
Pretty much overnight. Yeah, you put it in the kiln at the end of the day, and it fires all night. And then by the time the firing cycle's done, it's the morning. Sometimes we have to wait a little bit. You have to vent the kiln. But yeah, usually within 14 to 16 hours from putting it in, it's done.
That's exciting. I love the way you throw color into everything.
It's very exciting. It's the most exciting art form there is because you put something in the kiln, it's like baking. You don't know what you're gonna get until it's too late to do anything about it. You know, it's like you can't just keep adding paint to it. Oh, it looks good. Let me add a little more. You put it all on there. You put it in, and you just, you know.
Yeah, I would think that you would
really
have.
fun.
The more you add, the more opacity you're throwing.
Sure.
into
Yeah. You
it.
have to, and you have to know when to stop.
You can add dark to light, but you can't add much light to dark.
Teach classes if you want to learn.
Yeah, actually, tell us about them.
We got cards over there, so.
Okay, no, that's good to know.
It's online, so you don't even have to go anywhere.
And for Justin, beautiful, wonderful work. You have all that footage. Now, I know that editing is a massive process, but have you gone so far as to outline a series?
So that's why I shot so much, is that I didn't know if this was going to be a series or not. And I think it could have made a really cool series, because there's so many characters that we had to cut out of the film just because we knew we were making a movie. You know, my editor and I got to the end of the filming, we started getting into it, and so what are we making? And I said, we're making a movie. I think we're making a movie. So that had to dictate how we made choices. But I am starting to release from the vault footage on our website, holyfrit.com, and through our Instagram page and whatnot, where I'm just going to start releasing scenes from the film that didn't make it. Because my first edit of this thing was 10 hours. And then down to 8 and 6 and 4. And the last, from get to 4 to 2, was really hard. Really, really, really hard.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Do you mind my asking what ballpark of a budget you had or ended up? Because I'm sure it was cobbled
not
together
a
over
ballpark.
time.
It was in a national park.
It was a national park, okay.
You know, this was an indie film. So it was a raise money as you go thing. And I honestly don't really know how much it cost in the end.
You probably don't want to.
I know, you know, my credit card got maxed out a few times. I know we had a few investors, family and friends and things like that. But you just inch your way along. You'd make money, you'd put money in. The church actually did a fundraiser where Tim sold a bunch of like pendants and things like that. And so that gave a little bit of money to us and then back to Judson. And so you just inched your way along. So, you know, if I were to charge by the hour, I think I was woefully.
I think you're both underpaid.
Yeah, I don't think I really, made anything. But what a thing to do. What a thing to do. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for inviting us here.
It's our honor. Thank you for being here.
And I can't thank you enough for coming. Because the work of filmmaking is, you can't help this. I can't not do this. And I know that I'm not going to make any money doing it. And I know that I'm going to give up my whole life doing it. And Tim and I continue to go because you don't want these beautiful moments in life, these beautiful characters, to not be seen by the world. And it's such a privilege, such an honor to get to do it. But it doesn't mean anything unless you show up. And so I just cannot
Otherwise,
thank
it's
you
just rehearsal.
enough. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And if I could also real quick just echo that with Justin. Thank you guys for coming out on a Sunday to do this, and thank you to my in-laws in the back, the creators of my wife. Stand up, Candace and Lou. These are without these two folks, we won't get to San Pedro much. So it's a beautiful place. We love it here, and they made my wife. And they take care of our grandkids, and they make all of this stuff possible. They help with everything, so it doesn't get done without
And real
family.
fast, Luke McNair back there, cinematographer, right
He
there.
did
He and I have been working together for 2 decades on many films. He is a brilliantly amazing human, and I love making movies with that man. He is so cool. So, hey man, we just get to be kids, and keep creating, and it's really fun. Yeah.
We'll stick around. We're in no rush, so we'll hang out over here if anybody
They'll
wants.
be over there. They have T-shirts and merchandise for sale. And thank you again for coming. This means a lot to us where there's a room full of people that really do appreciate art and the arts process. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you again for contributing to Ken's campaign, which comes back to Meals on Wheels and the Arts District.
Thank you.